Hi everyone, welcome to our Monday program. Great to have you with us as we do a quick whip around of some of the Thai news. Plenty of things happening over the weekend, mostly centred around a visit from the new Prime Minister down to the south of Thailand, where it seems a few big announcements were made, or at least sort of thrown out into the public sphere to see what people think about them, including new visas, extensions of visas. Tourist visas specifically. Let's see what the story says. And PhuketGo.com reporting, new PM says he will extend tourist visas for targeted countries. Now, of course, you want to know which countries they are. Let's see what the story says. There's a picture from the new Prime Minister's own Instagram page, looking nice and relaxed as he visited Phuket and Phang on Friday and Saturday. And the story says Thailand's new Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin says his new government will extend tourist visas for up to 90 days. So it seems to be a bit of certainty in that particular sentence. We'll see some other reporting a bit later, which is not quite so certain. But this story says during a visit to Phuket and Phang on Friday and Saturday, the newly installed PM spoke to tourism stakeholders in the region and commented that the government will extend the length of tourist visas up to 90 days for targeted countries. And those comments were quoted from the Bangkok Post. PM Srettha told reporters before leaving that he would extend the tourist visas for arrivals to 90 days, including for China, Russia and India. Any final decision on extending visa arrival times will need to be considered, of course, by the incoming Cabinet, Tourism and Sports Minister and be gazetted, which can take up to 90 days. Now, just looking at those three countries mentioned in the story specifically, China, Russia and India. China and India currently have what's called a visa on arrival, or they can apply for a visa before they leave their country. But they do have to get a visa, and those visas currently only last for 15 days, although they can be extended for another 15 days. But when they arrive, they'll have to actually stop before they get to immigration and apply for that visa on arrival, for which they have to pay for. Now, that's different, for example, from Russia. People from Russia at the moment get a 45-day visa waiver in Thailand. Many Western countries get a 30-day visa waiver, but people from Russia currently get a 45-day visa waiver. That means they can just jump on a plane with their passport, a backpack, and walk straight to immigration when they arrive and get stamped in for 45 days. Now, they're talking about extending these to 90 days. Now, they're also talking about dropping the visa on arrival. In other words, China and India could also have a visa waiver. Looks like things might be changing, but of course there are other implications. A bit further down there it says changing, it should be the arrival status for some nationalities from visa on arrival to visa exemption would also involve the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and would have security implications. Now, the other question that comes up directly from this is what's going to happen to everybody else? I mean, I'm from Australia, people from the US and the United Kingdom, many European countries, they'll get a 30-day visa waiver at the moment. Are they going to be extended to 90 days? We don't know about that yet. Further down there it says Thai PBS World quoted his comments a little less enthusiastically, and quoting directly from their article, the new government will consider extending tourist visa validities from 30 days to 90 days and the easing of immigration procedures to make them more convenient to foreign tourists. His discussions in Phuket and Phang focused on airport arrival capacities and the potential of a new airport in Phang just north of Phuket. Phuket's current airport is already at capacity, and it's difficult to see how it could be extended except out into the Andaman Sea due to the constraints of the neighbourhood that borders the current facility. And as I mentioned on the Saturday Live program, thanks for those people that joined in, it's hard to imagine anywhere else you could put a new airport in Phuket, because not only do you have to have all the buildings and the car parking and the roads approaching it, but you've also got to have a 3-kilometre long, probably mostly flat runway. And the story says an airport around the Koh Samui area of Pattaya, just 15 minutes drive north of Phuket, has been discussed for the past decade but has been shelved until this weekend. So the new Prime Minister kickstarting his term with a visit to the two southern provinces. It appears it gave him a bit of an idea. We go to bangkokpost.com. Srettha, eager to get to work in the provinces. He said the cabinet, led by the Thai Party, he did keep repeating that, will begin its work immediately after the new government is formed and His Majesty the King issues a royal command appointing the new cabinet ministers. We imagine that might happen probably this week. And he said the meetings with the private sector and locals in Phuket and Pattaya were important for him to get first-hand feedback, and had sparked the idea to organise small mobile cabinet meetings in several provinces. He said the mobile cabinet meeting could be small, so it's easy for the group to move around. And small mobile cabinet meetings will focus on specific issues depending on the needs of the targeted provinces. I sort of remember after the 2019 election, the Prime Minister at the time, Prayut Chan-o-cha, also did these mobile cabinet meetings, but they sort of gave up after a couple of months. There are, of course, a lot of logistics involved with moving a group of politicians around, all the security involved, and getting everybody's availability. It's quite a lot different from dropping into Government House for a few hours on Tuesdays. And then down the bottom of that article, it said his government would extend tourism visas from 30 days to 90 days for arrivals from targeted countries, including China, India and Russia. So seems almost a confirmation there from the Bangkok Post, but reported differently in other media. But it certainly looks like we're going to see extended visas leading up to this year's high season, maybe not only for those three countries, but for other countries as well. Nothing's been decided, so don't get too excited yet. We'll keep you up to date on that, but I think we might hear about that in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Somebody that will be very happy will be Sean from 5 Star Marine, our sponsor for a long, long time. And if it was a day like today, where we've got a bit of light cloud, 30 degrees, light winds, I'd be very happy to be out on the waters of Pattaya and floating around one of the 5 Star Marine boats. There's a discount for any of the TNT viewers that would like to take advantage of that in the description in this video. Now, another thing that came up for discussion over the weekend was the often discussed extension of closing hours. Now, officially, the closing times around most of these entertainment areas in Bangkok, Pattaya, Phuket, any areas that consider themselves entertainment areas for tourists, I think it's either 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. It seems to be reported differently in different media, including today. But Thai PBS World saying that Phuket's nightlife venues asked the new PM to let them stay open until 4 a.m. Now, I know the story's about Phuket because that's where the Prime Minister was, but if they approved it for one area, it would basically mean it was approved for others. And we'll have a story about a rumour in Pattaya over the weekend, which got quickly quashed. But to this story first. Night entertainment operators in Phuket have proposed that the Prime Minister, Srettha Thavisin, allow their venues on Patong Beach to stay open until 4 a.m. instead of the current 1 a.m., reported in other media as 2 a.m. Who knows? And at the end of the day, most of the venues stay open well after that. And further down there, the president of the Entertainment Business Operators claimed that Srettha promised to consider their proposal in Cabinet, which is currently being formed. And Prap Keeson, another entertainment business operator, said that the 1 a.m. closing times is not practical and is inconvenient for foreign tourists because most of them visit bars for drinks late at night and can only have a few drinks if the venues close at 1 a.m. Prupp suggested that 4 a.m. closing should be tried in certain sections of Patong Beach for 6 months during the high season to assess its impact on security, society, the economy and the environment. So does that mean we're going to see pilot schemes around the country for later closing times this high season? Maybe. But they got all excited up in Pattaya over the weekend with this story. Night spots in Utapao Airport received green light to operate 24 hours a day. Pattaya not included. So Utapao Airport, of course, is 45 minutes from Pattaya, but people sort of got their wires crossed and got very excited for a short time until there was some clarification. And the story from PattayaNews.com says the Thai government has clarified that the recent permission granted for entertainment venues to operate around the clock in the Utapao International Airport and Eastern Airport City project does not extend to nearby areas such as Pattaya and Rayong. And a government spokesperson clarified that the Interior Ministry's recent notice in the Royal Gazette applied exclusively to the specified locations within the Utapao Airport complex. And she emphasised that the extended operating hours were applicable only within the boundaries of the Utapao Airport and the Eastern Airport City site. And she further explained that establishments outside these areas, such as Pattaya and Rayong, would continue to operate according to the existing regulations, with the closing time set at either midnight or 2 a.m. A similar rule exists for Suvarnabhumi Airport in the Bangkok area. The idea being here that if tourists are leaving the country or coming into the country, they can have a drink before or after they arrive. And the project is part of an initiative to upgrade Utapao Airport, positioning it as the country's third major international commercial airport, alongside Dumlang and Suvarnabhumi airports. Not many flights going into Utapao at the moment, and we'll allude to that a little bit later on in the program with another story, but it seems to be a very underused facility, currently just 45 minutes from Pattaya. And meanwhile, this latest development prompts debate in Pattaya whether or not entertainment venues in the city should also be allowed to operate around the clock to support tourism. Those who disagree point out that the leniency on operating hours will only lead to more problems such as traffic accidents, violence and noise pollution. But on the other hand, says the PattayaNews.com, those who support the measures argue that it will significantly boost the local economy. They also say foreign tourists in particular are not used to going home at midnight, and that regular early shutdowns and raids hurt the image of a vibrant tourism city. So let's see how some other media treated that story. In Nation Thailand saying Pattaya nightlife euphoria short-lived, round-the-clock drinking not permitted. And those who got high on the notion that Pattaya was included in a royal decree last week, allowing night spots in the Eastern Airport City to remain open around the clock, were knocked back down to earth on Sunday. And the decree is restricted to the Eastern Airport City, a zone inside the Eastern Economic Corridor, but many people misinterpreted the decree to include places outside the developing cities surrounding Utapao International Airport, and Pattaya is not within the boundaries of the Eastern Airport City. Do you think there might be some enterprising people that are going to open up some venues in that particular area and organise some shuttle buses out of Pattaya so they can operate 24 hours a day? Not sure if that sort of licence is going to be treated very well. Anyway, a bit of euphoria in Pattaya over the weekend, thinking, we've got 24-hour trading. No, we haven't. So all that reported there in the PattayaNews.com and NationThailand.com. Staying in Pattaya for a moment, another story from the PattayaNews.com. Pattaya speedboat operators engage in wild viral brawl at Bali Hai Pier, arguing over tourists. Another one of these really long headlines that basically give out the entire story. But the story says that two groups of rival speedboat operators in Pattaya engaged in a widely filmed and shared viral fistfight over who would transport a group of tourists on Saturday evening. The fight broke out at 5 p.m. that was on Saturday at the Bali Hai Pier, panicking numerous tourists who were waiting to board a ride to Koh Samui. And the incident, which was captured in a 5-minute-long video clip, involved two groups of speedboat operators at the pier. The groups were heatedly arguing about who would get the money and rights from a group of unidentified tourists who wanted to travel to Koh Samui on speedboats before they started throwing punches. And a local resident who wished not to be named revealed to the Pattaya News that it was their second fight of the day, and apparently brawls between speedboat operators vying for the business of tourists who want to take a quick ride to Koh Samui are a recurring problem in Pattaya. The residents said they could significantly damage the city's reputation as a safe tourist destination. Interesting, speaking to some tourism stakeholders over the weekend. They said that most tourists, particularly those from India and China, when asked what was the most important thing to consider when they travel to Thailand, safety came out as the most important factor for their decision to travel to the country. So all this focus on safety seems to be very important to some tourists. And Pattaya police are reportedly looking into that matter. Not a good look when you're about to go on a speedboat ride to a beautiful tropical island and the speedboat operators start having a bit of a brawl trying to get your fare. Another story from Pattaya, and Chinese tourist shortfall takes toll on Pattaya's tourism sector. Interesting that they decided to use a photo that I think is a bit of a meme of Chinese tourists. This idea of a horde of Chinese tourists following a flag, walking around on an organised $0 tour. This is decades old now. Most Chinese tourists are coming and they've got their own apps and they're booking their own hotels, going to their own restaurants, booking their own tours, and you see them renting motorbikes just like every other tourist these days. So that's a bit of an old-fashioned photo to use. But the tourism sector in Pattaya is grappling with a waning number of Chinese tourists due to current strict visa regulations and a shortage of flight options. Not just Pattaya, but of course other parts of the country as well. And the president of the Pattaya Business and Tourism Association revealed that the current tourism situation in Pattaya is predominantly centred on Chinese and Indian tourists. However, the number of Chinese tourists has significantly declined in recent months. This undesirable decline is caused by a number of reasons. And the story says strict visa regulations and a shortage of direct flights from China to Pattaya is part of the problem. As I was saying, Utapao Airport very quiet at the moment compared to back in 2019 when it seemed to be a growing and important part of the airport mix in Thailand. And in contrast to popular tourist destinations like Phuket or Chiang Mai, which attract a larger number of Chinese tourists due to their direct flight accessibility, Pattaya has fewer direct flights despite having Utapao Airport. Of course, they've also got Suvarnabhumi Airport, which is just under a 2-hour drive and very accessible to Pattaya. And the tourism spokesperson said Pattaya does have Utapao Airport, but the number of flight options remained limited, especially with direct flights from China to Pattaya. Well, thank you for dropping in on our Monday TNT. You might notice things getting a little bit empty around here. Yes, I'm starting to move furniture out of this house. I'm going to be living up in Panga in the future, in the beach houses. So more about that in the next couple of weeks when we'll start to get some nice photos. And I'll also do a video showing you a before and after. But interesting political news. Don't turn off yet. Thai PBS World saying that Per-Thai Party's popularity plunges in a new poll. So we were sort of waiting for the first poll, seeing what the effect of Per-Thai marrying with the old uncle parties and what effect that might have on the voters. The story from Thai PBS World gives us a bit of a quick preview. The Per-Thai Party's popularity would drop by 62%, while the popularity of the Move Forward Party would increase by 62% if there were to be a new election today. And this according to the findings of a blockchain poll. That's a new poll group, it seems, in Thailand. The two pollsters gauged the opinion of 1,253 people aged 18 and over with various occupations and educational levels. Between August the 21st and the 24th, the question, which parties will you choose when there's another election? The poll shows 49% of the respondents said they will vote for the Move Forward Party, 14.7% for Phumjai Thai, only 10.6% for Per-Thai, and 7.5% for Palang Pracharat, one of those two conservative uncle parties. And the poll shows the popularity of the Move Forward Party has increased by 62% and Phumjai Thai by 3.5%. Per-Thai's popularity has fallen by 62%. and the Democrats by nearly 10%, and Palang Pracharat by 6%. So Move Forward, the big winner in that particular poll, showing that they got, saying 49% of the enthusiasm from those particular people polled, which is almost a majority, a situation that didn't happen in the last election, which of course led to all the horse trading and the eventual coalition that is not popular with quite a few people. And 51.3% of those who voted for Pheu Thai in the May 14 general election said they will vote for Move Forward if there were another election. And this is going to be a big problem for Pheu Thai. They're going to have to really stamp their brand on this coalition. And I think that happened over the weekend with the new Prime Minister who kept on talking about the new Pheu Thai government in Bangkok. And finally, we go to Koh Samui, sort of, and I've had to blank out words in the story because at the end of the day, YouTube just keeps on demonetizing anytime I talk about broccoli, which I'll be referring to in this story. And the headline says, "Smoke broccoli and box at Mike Tyson's Broccoli Boxing Championship." And file this under things we didn't really know we needed. Former heavyweight boxing champ and broccoli advocate Mike Tyson is launching Thailand's first Broccoli Boxing Championship on the island of Koh Samui this Sunday. So presumably it happened last night. I've heard nothing about it. The spectators are also encouraged to smoke broccoli. There will be food and drinks at the event should you get the munchies. And the championship is an effort to boost Thailand's continued broccoli tourism. Despite being a stoner himself, Tyson said he will not be participating in the competition, so don't expect to punch out the champion himself. And with broccoli becoming decriminalised in Thailand in June last year, a huge amount of dispensaries and broccoli-related events have sprung up all over the country in what many dub the green rush. So reported there in coconuts.co, and they continue to support the proliferation of that particular decriminalised substance. Thank you for joining us today. Hopefully you're a bit more up to date with things happening around Thailand. If you haven't already subscribed, it would be great if you can. I think the bottom line today is that there will be some extensions of tourism visas around Thailand. I think it'll be for everybody, so you can look forward to that. We'll keep an eye on that story and report more as it becomes apparent. But for now, thanks for joining us on the Monday program, and we'll see you tomorrow on TNT.